Looking back, how do we feel about Dexit? For those that aren't aware, Dexit was the idea that, hey, going into Sword and Shield, rather than having that full national dex of all of the Pokemon, a lot, and at the time I do mean a lot, of Pokemon were cut. And people were pretty upset about this one. We can see, hey, people upset here, people upset here. We could go around and find tons of people. There was a lot of controversy surrounding this, and people weren't really happy. But the idea was they were going to drop, and they did drop, the number of available Pokemon. A lot of that has since been remedied by Pokemon Home adding access to more, and then the expansions giving access to more Pokemon as well. So now most, not all, but most of the Pokemon are available, and that's made people happier. But you do get a certain thing when you go, hey, let's limit the Pokedex to maybe 300 or 350 Pokemon in a game. Not in the regular playthrough, in the entire game. You get some things with it. And what do I mean by that? Well, one of the things you get is it does encourage you to use different Pokemon. And that actually can be really good. I know it seems like, no, that's just limiting my options, that's bad. But think of it this way. Maybe you really like playing with Dratini and you always play with Dratini. They're your favorite Pokemon. And then you go, hey, that's fun. Oh no, I don't have access to that. I guess I'll have to experiment with the Goodra line. Oh, now I kind of like Goodra. That's fun. I wouldn't have experimented and played with Goodra if I hadn't had to go away from my favorite dragon there. Okay, but like, how is that better? Well, you can think of it like going to a party or a kid going to a summer camp if you want, where maybe you'd usually go with your friends, but because your friends specifically weren't available, you went by yourself and you made new friends and you really liked your new friends and you wouldn't have met these new friends if you had the option of going with your friends. That sort of thing. So it can have some benefit there. And then obviously in the competitive world, there's a lot of value to be had there. Card games have known this for ages, where you sort of do this, let's rotate forward with our sets. Some of them are doing it a little bit more to get people to keep spending money to buy the new card sets to make the old cards less usable in some of their formats. But some of that really does come from it makes the metagame a lot more interesting when you're not seeing it sort of somewhat consistently see a lot of the same 30 or so players. Best cards, best Pokemon, whatever the case may be here. So it gets really interesting for competitive what you can do there. But I think an argument that more people will identify with is we can actually make the animations better, like meaningfully better. They could be if we looked at them in a more limited dex. It's just too hard to go, hey, for 800 Pokemon, for 700 Pokemon, let's go ahead and animate the ability to use 80 different moves against any of those hundreds of different Pokemon. That's just not happening, and they're not going to look good. They're going to look like we see here in Sword and Shield. That looks pathetic. Can't have both Pokemon on the same screen for a lot of the moves. They just kind of look like that. It's supposed to be a physical move, but they don't even touch each other. Now, let's go look at Legends Arceus, where it's a much more limited roster, and we can see what they're able to do. Wait, the bunny actually gets in Golduck's face and beats it up? And we can see that happen? Like, they were both on screen together. We got to see it. Sure, there was a cloud of smoke, but they actually physically went and interacted with them. And that's actually doable when you keep the dex lower. So that really could be pretty interesting and pretty cool. But what do you guys think? Do you look at this and say, yeah, that's a great way to do it? I definitely want to see about what happens. Can we get better animations? Will it cause you to use different Pokemon? Will it make a more interesting competitive metagame? Or do you look at it and go, no, I don't trust Game Freak. If we didn't make the huge upset thing that we did about Dexit, they wouldn't have added Pokemon back in, and they'd have just run home with their savings and said, hey, we didn't have to animate cool battle stuff, nor did we have to put all the Pokemon in the game. That was easier for us. It saved us a lot of coding hours. Wasn't that great? And we made a fortune. Or do you look at it and say, no, Temporal, what you're discussing with using different Pokemon, that's just the regional versus national dex. The regional dex already encourages that sort of thing. Maybe the metagame has other issues. They can just balance that for competitive separately and have a rotating format like that. Let me know where you stand on this issue now that we've seen a little bit more of it. It's cooled off, and we've also gotten to see what they did with Legends Arceus with a more limited roster. But drop your thoughts in the comments down below. If you're enjoying the content, drop a like and consider subscribing for more thought-provoking Pokemon content, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Temporal out.